Yeah.
Will we get started, folks? Yeah? Yeah? Grant, so it's my pleasure to step in for David and introduce Tristan this evening. I'm sure most of us know him well at this stage. Tristan's been, superb addition to the team since joining. How long are you here now? A year? Over?
No, not even.
Not even a year?
Half a year.
Right, okay.
Yeah, a bit more than half a year, yeah.
Great. And so Tristan's had an interesting career, haven't you? Since he qualified in Germany.
Yeah.
And then moved to Ireland after that and has done a lot of prestigious postgrad training and been published along the way. We're delighted he's brought that wealth of experience and knowledge to Boyne Dental. As you know, Tristan's always keen to learn and progress, happy to give productive opinions and input with things, which is great to have about the place. And always striving for the best of care for his patients above all else. I'm sure you'll have seen the wonderful content he's been putting out in recent months as well, offering great useful information to patients and reassurance in a manner that's really digestible for them as well, so it's superb. And the social media subject he's presented on before, really, with the IDA webinar a couple of years ago. So I'm very much looking forward to this, and I'm sure you are too. As always, Study Club's nice, relaxed atmosphere with it, so I'm sure you'd be happy for people to interact.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Along the way.
Yeah.
Without further ado, pass you over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for the introduction. Thanks obviously to first of all, I think Eve approached me at some stage and was like, oh, do you want to talk about this? So thanks for that. But obviously thanks to David and Carol as well for basically surrendering surgery time, which is valuable, I guess, I think it's a great appreciation in education in general that we do the study club. So I'm very happy to do my presentation, and I felt honoured to talk about this today because it's not really, obviously, I'm not a professional social media guy. I don't have a degree in this, or I'm not specifically traditionally educated on this, let's say. But I think, and we'll go through that in some of the part of the presentation today. I think I have a certain viewpoint on it that may be different to other people's, and I hope that maybe what I have here today will be of value to hopefully all of you, but at least some of you guys. What I want to talk about today is, does that work? Yeah, perfect. So we're looking today at sort of the interactions between dentistry and social media, and maybe also social media with the world and everything around it. We go through kind of just the overall situation at the moment, because it's a very fast-paced environment. Lots of changes happen all the time. So I just want to sort of set the scene. Then we go to the solution, or at least what is commonly phrased to be the solution. And then we look at the problems. And whereas the other way around than normally is done, the problems first, the solution then. But you'll see what I mean when we reach that point. I want to go through a few of the things that I think might be then ways to address the problems. Go through a bit of general advice that I think makes sense. And then at the end, or anywhere in between, if anyone has any questions or has some point to make or whatever, you're very welcome to do so. So because it's custom here, this is the speaker, me. Just as a little introduction, I work in our minute practice now exclusively. I used to work in this surgery as well for the first 4 or 5 months or so. But now we have just sort of put all my hours into the one place, and I think it works very, very well. I think like any one of you that works between 2 surgeries or has done that before knows how much of a mental switch it is every time. Yeah. So like I'm very happy with it. I'm not going to make any recommendations because it's just going to exactly. Yeah, no, I'm very happy with that. Now, before I came here and started working in different places in Ireland and now eventually Maynooth, I grew up in this lovely place called Hamburg. I'm not sure if anyone has been there. I think it's probably the best place to go in Germany if you want to go to a city trip, but probably people from Berlin and Munich and Cologne, they will disagree. So I think it's the same as in any place. I think it's lovely because you can fly into the city or in the city straight away. You have public transport and you have everything from like lakes to rivers to nightlife to everything, and everything is together. So if anyone wants to go to Germany, that's the place to go. Now I live in this lovely place. It's actually interesting when I looked at this is Meath, that's Louth, and this is the way I live. Probably if you were to fly over that hill, you'd be in Navan, so it's a very suitable picture. Anyway, that's all about me now. Let's talk about social media and the world. So the world is very much a world of screens, and the internet these days, like it has changed a lot in the last 20 years. I probably don't have to tell anyone. And what I think is like three, especially in regards to dentistry, there's three very important developments that have taken place, especially in the years, like the last 20 years, like since the millennium changed, let's say, we have three big changes. The first one is, I call it the golden age is over. I don't know when any one of you guys has done a proper gold crown the last time. It probably doesn't happen that often anymore. I wouldn't even know which lab to ask to make one. I do appreciate that it's a great crown, but the demand for that kind of stuff has very much kind of phased out, and people want, that's probably not even a proper full ceramic crown, but like, people want white teeth, and thankfully the materials engineering or material science has come a long way since I got aware of dentistry, which is about 20 years ago, when I was old enough to see my parents work in dentistry and them talking about stuff, and they were obviously at that stage working very old school compared to what we do now, and it has come a long way in 20 years. The other big thing that's happened is practices are consolidating into groups. I mean, we're at Boyne Dental, we're a group, we're a small group, but in the end it's a group. There's much bigger groups in Ireland. There is far bigger groups in the UK, and I'm not even sure what the story is in America, but I imagine it's also groups. So it is a trend that is happening. There's a lot of money involved, a lot of investment involved, but also it obviously addresses a part of that issue that dentists don't necessarily equal business people, and I think it's a development that has a lot of different factors to it, I guess. And then the third big thing that's happened in the last while is this. Microchips have gotten incredibly powerful. So the computing power, there's this thing called Moore's law. It says that the amount of transistors, which is basically the little calculating units in a computer, doubles every 2 years. And because it's such an exponential rise, it has come a long way. When we just look at it here, in 1971, like the best thing that you could get had whatever 2,000 odd of those transistors. This here has 19 billion transistors in it, and like I can do with this thing what like even myself, when I got my first computer, which was this one here, that was my first computer, like that was super slow compared to this, and I couldn't even like full like high definition videos or 4K videos, like probably a minute would have just filled the whole capacity of that computer. So like it's amazing how far computing power has come. But what does it mean for dentistry? The three things together: more money involved in dentistry, practices that have fused together, better computing power, and the materials have gotten much better. It means that the level of patient care in the next decades will be far better, because every dentist, whether they might have traditionally been a better dentist or an average dentist or whatever, will have a lot of tools that would make patient care better. Be that diagnostics, like x-rays being diagnosed by some sort of machine learning AI, that's happening already. Integration
Machine learning
into...
is a field of study in artificial intelligence concerned with the development and study of statistical algorithms that can learn from data and generalize to unseen data, and thus perform tasks without explicit instructions.
Speaking of technology, exactly. So in the future, I guess my job will be done by that computer. Yeah, like we as dentists will have far more tools that allow us to easily provide better care, because a lot of the factors where human error is involved these days still will be assisted by some sort of system that helps us, and like some sort of computer-based probably system. So after, the computers will help us a lot, and like patients will have it far easier to get good care, and maybe there will be like practices that have like some sort of like use a certain system, and they will have a certain badge attached to them, and patients know if I go to this practice, they're whatever XYZ approved. I know they use all these systems, and I will get good care. So it means that for a patient, a lot of the dentists will lose their individual sort of selling point. They will not be very differentiated anymore. Yeah. So what's left is, it comes down to trust, but there's all these factors involved. It's called the wheel of loyalty, or the loyalty wheel. It's, I don't know whether you guys know MailChimp. It's like a company that does like newsletter services. They had like a report, and basically this is what's left afterwards. It's basically the communication between dentist and the patient, and that will be the differentiating factor for us dentists to communicate, and also to have stuff like case acceptance, and it'll make us stand out among the sea of dentists, let's say.
Stuff technology can't do.
Exactly, stuff that technology can't do, or it might take longer to get there. I don't know what's going to happen in 50 years, but anyway, that's kind of what will set us apart. And then, kind of just putting that to the side, one other big thing that has come from this is this. I don't know whether anyone remembers Ratatouille. He is kind of communicating with this sort of ghost of a chef, and the chef keeps saying, anyone can cook. And what I think with these gadgets, what anyone can do these days is produce media, be it sound, be it pictures, videos, everything is in this gadget, and everyone has one of these. So that is changing a lot. The type of media that we're consuming is changing. Like, I don't know about you guys, but the only thing I consume that is traditional media is sports. Like, if there's a football game on, everything else is YouTube or Instagram or Twitch or whatever, like all these new platforms. The attention of people is changing, and also the media is changing. What used to be like polished TV shows, let's say, or like scripted stuff is now more authentic and like unrefined stuff. I just brought a little example because it's timely. This is an Instagram post of Lando Norris. I don't know whether anyone knows Lando Norris. It's a racing driver, Formula 1 racing driver. Got his first win last weekend. Also my favorite driver. But when you look at the pictures, like, what do you think? Are they good?
No.
They're like snaps. Like, he's flying. Like, obviously the stewardesses were happy to have a celebrity on board and like whatever. But like, I mean, his feet. Like, it's not like anything special. But like more and more people are producing stuff like this. He also has a different account as well, where it's a bit more polished. But like, people want to see the actual real stuff, be it real or not. Like, I don't know whether he has like made this all up or whatever. We don't know, but it just shows people want more authentic stuff. And then the last thing that has come from all these changes, distribution has gotten far easier, far cheaper. Like, anyone can put stuff on YouTube, anyone can put stuff on Spotify or whatever. Like, I can basically make it something that was formerly reserved to like TV stations and whatever, and I can just put it out, and everyone in the world can see it, bar maybe places that don't have internet. But I mean, where is that these days? Nowhere. So all of this taken together, and when like experts that are marketing experts or like social media experts, when they see this and look at business people, especially small business people, what a lot of them recommend is this. This. Turn yourself into a media company. Don't focus so much on your business anymore. Just do media. At least that's what they say. Now, I think they're talking to a lot of businesses where they have either spare personnel to work in like something like this, to produce media, to have someone to hire to do this, or that are not 100% busy. Now, when I look at us as dentists, like, I'm flat out. Like, I have, thankfully, and that's like courtesy of like the good admin team, like I have no significant gaps in my diary, and I imagine it's the same for everyone else, which is great. But it also means like if we wanted to do this, like we'd have to find more time, and it's just kind of very difficult. Because like, let's say you're working 30 hours in the surgery, you have 5+ hours for admin and whatever, then education, and then like if you have a business, if you run the business, like where are you supposed to take more time for this? So I think it's a really difficult thing to do, and I don't think as a normal dentist you can do this. I just don't think you can really focus on it the way that like normal experts tell us. So there's 3 problems to this, really. One is not enough time. Then the other one is not confident enough. I don't want to put myself in front of a camera. Or I don't dare to like put something out. I'm too shy, or whatever you want to call it. And then the third question, and it's the second one here, actually finding something to say. Because like you might be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do something, and then you sit in front of the camera, and I've had that a few times, even if I knew what I wanted to say, and you're just like staring into it, and you're like, and then just turn it off again. There's actually loads of videos of that in my phone where I'm just like me turning it on, like a minute of me thinking, and then just turning it off. I don't know, now you put up a lot of stuff. Do you do the same? Or yeah, it's because you're just like, what am I doing here? So that's another thing. So I just wanted to go through these.
Just post a random ones up to the group.
Yeah. So like I just wanted to go through these problems, and there's a few things that I think that can be done to address these issues for anyone that wants to do more media, not to have like sacrifice hours and hours to like become a media company, as the experts say, but still get something out, because in the end, the benefits of social media or modern media, doesn't necessarily have to be social media, but modern media, I think for us all, they're like obvious. Like it's so easy to do marketing for us and to get maybe more suitable patients and maybe more high value patients, or more of the patients that we like to see, or whatever our focus is. But I think anyone can do something, and I think there's a few things that we can go through. So we'll start with not confident enough. And I was reading a book by a guy called Seth Godin. I don't know whether anyone knows him. It's this guy with the yellow glasses. He's one of the most published and most sold authors in the world for the last, 10, 20 years. He writes about, productivity and all of, he's one of those guys. But that's what he wrote in one of his books. He feels like an imposter often. So even the people who are the most published people in the world seem to not be fully confident all the time. And I think it's good to, like, as a nervous patient, sometimes it gets a bit of relief from knowing that they're not the only one feeling like this. I think it also, like, reading this from like a small fish perspective, like, I mean, we're obviously not all world-renowned authors, but to know that, like, the big fish also think the same way is yeah, I think it's kind of relieving. And then this is the original definition of what we now call imposter syndrome, and it's from 1978. So, like, it's nothing that's just started with social media. It's actually something that's been around for a long time. And I think it just it gives me a bit of relief to know that anyway. That said, when I didn't have a lot of stuff on my Instagram, for example, and I was like, oh, I need to do something, this is what I was looking at. Basically Las Vegas out there. Like, there's these people who do, like, amazing stuff, or at least it looks amazing on their Instagram, and you just look at it and be like, first of all, how did they do it? Second of all, like, I will never be able to do that. And then it also just looks fabulous, as in they're not only apparently great clinicians, they also are perfect photographers. And, like, I mean, you all have been on these profiles, I imagine. Like, it's mad, and it's mad in a good way. Like, fair play to them. Like, they're doing probably a great job clinically and on their social media, and it looks perfect, and, like, it's amazing. But, like, if you're there and, like, you want to do something, you don't even want to do this, but you see this, like, you're like, I can't take pictures as good as them, and I'm not as good of a clinician as them. And I think it's a big hurdle. So when I started putting stuff out, I was basically just trying stuff out. And I'm coming back to my history now, because when I put stuff out in the last few months, I often got the feedback like, oh, your stuff is so good. Like, Eve even mentioned a movie that I made for Instagram, like, in November or so, like ages ago, because Eve thought it looked really good in terms of the way it was framed, and that it was, like, set and the light, and, like, she thought it was well filmed, let's say. And I just wanted to go through the journey, how I got here and how I am maybe able to do stuff like that. Go a bit, like, we're going to go back in time a little bit. This is 2004. That's me. We were... Exactly. I'm not entirely sure was that the year that The Matrix came out, or I think it was 2001, but maybe the second or third one came out that year. And, well, we were like, I don't know, young. I actually had, I was young for my year as well. So, like, he's like 2 years older than me. He was,
Are they your brothers?
No. There's just people from my class. And she actually was, she was like, oh, let's be cool and, like, pretend we're in the Matrix. So we all got sunglasses and just posed for this picture. It was 2004. That wasn't the end of it, but it's the start of me doing stuff like this. That's me the year after. So we filmed The Matrix. This here, which you see in just the arm of it, is actually this guy as well, dressed as the chosen one. And we just filmed a funny version of The Matrix, 2005. Like, looking back at it and watching it, it's terrible. Like, it's not a good movie, but we did it. We had our fun, and it went on. 2006, same guy, same group of friends, different ones. That's me again. I took them all on a week out for summer camping, and we filmed a whole movie, like 70 minutes long, in a forest, about, like, a group of friends that, like, capsize with their canoe and get stranded on the island, and then someone builds a radio and they get rescued. Also a terrible movie if you look back at it, but like, good fun and practice. 2007, bigger project, failed in the end, but we were so audacious to, like, do, like, a making of video interview, whatever, of it. Multiple cameras. There's an interviewer here on the side. We thought we were the big deal. Like this was it. So, kind of, it makes sense that I wanted to be a director. That's what I wanted to be. So this is an actual feature film. Obviously, not my film. I was up here. I had just gotten my hair shorn to the minimum because it was a film based in 1943 or something, and I was an extra in like a scene, so I had to be in like a, like they put me in like a concentration camp setting, but I got a lot of experience with that on the production side, and I could see all these like professional work. And then eventually 2011 I started dentistry, so that was the end of that for me. But I obviously kept the passion, and like I kept doing projects. This is 2019. And what I really want to say is the following, because it really started much earlier, and what I want to say is it just takes time. What we see here now, come here. Yeah. This is my dad. And he has a laptop there. That's me. And on the laptop, he's showing me Photoshop. And we'll see the year here in a second. I think it comes up on the side. 1993. So, like, I grew up in a family that was media focused. My dad showed me stuff early on. Like, I messed with it on his computer, and eventually I obviously wanted to do stuff myself. But what I'm trying to say with this is I have, 30 years of experience, if you count it that way, or if you count the other way, 20 years of experience. And obviously repetition, as in any field of life, gets us there. And we get better by doing it longer and more often and doing the same again and again. And I think it's the same with social media. If we come back to the original topic, like, we can't expect to like want to be put something on social media and be top of the tops straight away. Like, that's unrealistic. But we see all this perfect stuff, and like we get this story told by the internet, basically, that there's all these people like that go from nothing to millions in like the course of 2 years. Like stories like Mr. Beast. I don't know whether people know about Mr. Beast. He's like this guy from somewhere, North Carolina or something, and like he started with nothing, and now he's like a billionaire just because he's making videos for YouTube. Exactly. So we can't expect that. It takes time. It takes time, the same as it takes time to do proper fillings. Like the first fillings that we all did, terrible, and like heart beating like mad. And now, like, who sort of wins this with a filling? Like it's kind of just normal. So basically, what I would propose is not trying to, like, it sounds kind of cheesy, but like not trying to be something else that we can't be, but just trying to embrace the fact that we're not. When we start off, we're not very good at it, and maybe by doing it more and more, we will get there. Coming to the next point, finding content, what to say. Like, I want to make a video, I don't know what to say. So the first thing that I find is really handy is to listen to the patients. Like, has anyone ever gotten a question from a patient? Any questions? Eamon doesn't get questions. That's a good life. No, like obviously, like every patient asks stuff. Every patient asks stuff or wants to know something, and sometimes we even ask the patients what their situation is, and they tell us stuff. And I think we can assume that whatever a patient asks us might also be relevant for other people. I mean, how often have we had the same question? Like, even like, will this hurt? Like, depends. But you know, like the same question will be asked a lot of times, and even if we get a question for the first time, maybe other patients might have had the question but just didn't ask it, or so I think that's a really good way of getting a list of stuff that we can talk about. And we've answered all these questions before because the patients have asked us, and we didn't just turn around and walk away. So like, we have the answers, so we just basically have to take what we did then and just record it again. And like, there's probably some people who do that on the fly, as in they actually film themselves speaking to the patients, but I'm not sure is that like, you have to have really good consent with the patient, I think, to get that done. So I think just making a list and like having the list and then working off that is a really good way.
I think that's really, really good because it's changed. Like I was thinking in my head, what would you start up with, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking of, well, what do I want to project? You know, what do I want to project, right? Whereas
Yeah.
you've turned it around and what do they
Yeah.
want to hear?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
rather than what brand are you wanting them to see? So I think that's really
It's a great point.
very, very powerful.
The
you
thing
know?
though, this is where I think the imposter syndrome comes into it. And it's where my head used to go.
Yeah.
I used to be a lot more careful about what I was saying because I'd be thinking, oh, what will that other awesome dentist think about what I'm saying? Will they agree?
I know what you mean, yeah.
So you automatically go to like this 0.0001%
Yeah.
of the population that becomes a barrier to you actually doing
Rather
what would
than
be relevant
to the
to
patient.
Yeah.
90%. Like,
Yeah.
So
But then,
certainly to get past that and get over that and realize that, and when you do, you realize that what you're saying is landing with people and landing with people that you want to connect with.
Yeah.
You know?
and like, unless you want to be an educator, let's say, it doesn't really matter what other dentists think because they're not your target group, technically speaking. If you want to talk to patients, which is what we normally do in our life, like it doesn't, like if I do something and Niall disagrees, it doesn't matter. like unless it's something that's like actually like malpractice, it really doesn't matter whether another dentist thinks whatever about it. Yeah. So
Yeah, and a lot of those showbiz pages
yeah.
are essentially showing off to other dentists.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not actually for
Yeah.
patients, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But it's enough to make us think, oh, God, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. One sort of slightly changed up version of it is you can do the same research online. Like you can figure out what people were searching on Google. There's loads of like how to do it. It's pretty easy. There's like Google has this like portal basically where you can put in dentists Navan, and then it lists you all the different search terms that people have also searched for. Like, yeah, and then there's like private companies that have the same service, and like there's like loads of sort of ways to do it. But like Google is your friend, you can find out how to do it. But like it is kind of handy because if you run out of your own questions, there's probably millions of more questions to answer if you really want to go down that way. Then to come back to that sort of authenticity point that we looked at earlier, one really good way to work that is document, don't tell. Like, it's something that I'm struggling with because it's just a question of time, and I don't have the attention sometimes in my daily work to do it. But like, if one ever got to the point where one could document what's happening on a daily basis in a practice and all the sort of communication with the nurses and the admin team and the lab, and maybe I think Niall had a thing in his story or somewhere recently about crown being made in the lab, and you had like a disclaimer on it, not this patient's crown. Yeah, like something like this, telling a story that happens on the day, but by just basically pointing the camera at it and just, I don't know, putting a bit of text to go along with it. I think that gives really good content, gives patients an idea of what's happening, and it shows stuff like quality. It shows stuff like just the overall sort of approach to dentistry that a practice has.
I think it's really, I saw one recently, and it wasn't ours, it was Julie's, and it was their Invisalign Day. I don't know if you've seen that. It was so good. It was a girl documenting her day.
Yeah.
Brushing teeth before she went, talking about it, her Invisalign Day, you know, getting her free tooth whitening kit.
From the perspective of the patient, yeah. I think that's really good marketing.
It was just simple, but so well.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah, but that's obviously from the patient side. I think that's great for marketing, but like obviously we're not the patients, so we can't really provide that naturally.
But
We
it
could
was
probably
that same way of
same
things,
idea.
it's kind
Yeah.
of, it wasn't telling about the day, it was
Yeah.
documenting it, as
Yeah,
you say.
yeah.
Kind
So
of.
it's basically-
It allows people to think, that could be me, or...
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think it's actually myself.
Yeah, and from our perspective, I think that's much better than telling them, oh, I'm a great dentist, come to my practice, is like to be like, oh, and for this patient we did this crown, here's how we made it, this is how it looks in the mouth, and then the patient can make up their own mind, and hopefully they'll make up their own mind saying, oh, this is a great dentist. But like, I think it's a good approach in that way.
That's really nice. It's nice way to do it.
And then I just had it up there for a second there, but like, I think it's very fair to be a bit of an experimenter on social media. Like, we're all drilled not to take any risks in our normal work, and like, obviously we don't want to be like, hey, I'm going to do like an experimental way of doing a filling today. Nobody wants to hear that. But I think on social media, like if you put something out and it's like bad, then like nobody's going to see it probably. The way that algorithms work these days, like stuff doesn't get recommended if it's not hitting the nerve anyway, and like if it's not good, then just nobody's going to see it. But like there's not really any height to fall off. I actually put something out like 2 weeks ago where I thought like, oh, this is like not great, but maybe it works. So I just took a picture of like, because I thought it looked nice how the light came onto the tiles in the hall in Maynooth, and I just put a bit of a text in like, oh, it's so nice to have such a nice building and whatever. Like terrible performance, the thing.
And I
But
really liked
yeah,
it.
but.
I still stuff.
But I was like, oh, this is nice. Eve has even like done a comment on it because, and like, yeah, and it has like sort of saved me in a way that someone commented on it. But then like you see like that like random person might like it, and then maybe it does give you a new patient or something. So
And it resonated with me because when I see that floor and feel that warmth,
This is the old floor.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love your new building. It's just, and the feel in the clinic is so warm, and you feel it when you see that picture.
yeah, so I think it's fair enough to experiment a bit, like in general. Now the third problem that we were looking at is not enough time, and that's probably the biggest problem on a practical sense, because once you get over those psychological hurdles, this is kind of what's left. And one thing that I would advise, and that's kind of against the advice that most of the general social media experts give, is I would focus on one platform and just do one platform, figure it out, do it consistently for a year, maybe 2 years. In that time frame, the world has changed anyway, platforms have changed. Some might have gone bust, some might be just like boring now or whatever exactly. There'll always be new stuff. And if you're really happy with having one and you feel, oh, I have too much time, you can always start a second one. Like, that's not a problem. But I think we get overwhelmed trying to do everything at once, and then it gets very difficult to really maintain it because it's just too much work. I was trying to do as much possible work in social media in general before this, because like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to do a talk on social media, don't have so much up at the moment, better get my get my, yeah, exactly. So
I agree with it, so that it'll make people produce more content.
exactly, but like it took so much time, and like because multiple platforms and lots of work. So I think it's fair enough to just do one platform and do it. Like, I'm not even saying go all in. Like, just do it like regularly and even infrequently. But if you do one thing a week, that's better than nothing. Like, and you can always like do more in the future. One thing that I would advise though with platforms is think about what you want to do, where your patients are hanging out, and maybe don't go the beaten track all the time. Like, Instagram is probably the most popular platform these days, and everyone is on Instagram. But it's also very competitive. There's loads of dentists there, and like what I'm doing more and more implant work, my demographics probably hangs out on Facebook because it's the older crowd, and I hadn't really done much on Facebook, and I'm probably going to switch more now from doing Instagram to Facebook, because I was thinking about it myself when I was preparing for this. The people are just hanging out on a different platform. On the other hand, someone who might have younger patients, like an orthodontist, for example, maybe they should hang out more on TikTok because it's a younger platform. Someone who likes to make videos might be better off on like a video focused platform like TikTok or Instagram, or even exactly YouTube. I think is very untapped territory. Like there's a lot of potential in YouTube, and YouTube is massive. As I said earlier, I watch everything on YouTube. Like I don't turn on the TV, I turn on YouTube. So yeah, I think that's about the platforms. One big thing here that I think is really handy, especially in the long term, is to make a long or big piece of content, set it up properly, like think about what you want to do, put the camera up, make one big piece of content, be it an interview with someone, be it just a number of questions, 10 questions about implants, something like this. Doing a long video, you can put it on YouTube or something, like for someone who wants to watch the whole video, but that's not really the point of it. The point is that you sit down, set everything up once, do a lot of talking for a while, or an interview, which is even nicer because there's multiple people, and then you can just cut it up. You can put the individual questions out. You can, if you're really good, you can even like make little snippets of like 5 seconds if there's something like a gold nugget in there somewhere, and suddenly you have one piece of content, and then you make 20 videos out of it.
I actually did this recently, and I interviewed 4 or 5 patients, and I just cut snippets out of the first one recently, the last week or two. Stuff should be starting to come out soon, but I remember walking away from the interview thinking, I think 2 or 3 should say that, like 10 out of one interview.
Yeah. And then you know what you can do then?
And that was only 18 minutes of an interview or something, like 17, 18 minutes of a chat. It wasn't even.
Yeah. What you can do then is you can take the clips, and out of the content of the clip, you can make a little infographic. You can take the content of that clip, whatever, 5 sentences, put it into an AI tool like ChatGPT, and tell it make a blog entry out of this, and it'll come up with a blog entry. Like we'll come to AI later. Like there's pros and cons to it, but like I'd say out of a 20-minute video, you can easily, if you really split it up and make multiple types of media out of everything, you can probably make 100 pieces of content out of 20 minutes. I mean, obviously you have to like put the work in afterwards, but at least you don't have to like worry about what to say. And then like I've done like a video like this, and I've posted a few things that are all kind of the same, and I thought maybe it makes sense to try to do it spread out more over time, if you had more, so that like not every post is kind of the same setup. You know, that you like use one from the one video, and then maybe you have multiple other pools. You pick from pool 1 first, pool 2, then pool 3, and you just cycle it around. And then once you're done with everything, you can probably go back to the first, because then there's a new crowd on your Instagram. Like, you know, so yeah, I think that really makes sense. Then it's kind of obvious, but you can schedule stuff, so like you don't have to like always be on your phone. I don't really do that much, because I think it costs almost as much time to schedule stuff than to just post it quickly. But some people like it. Some people are like organized like that, and I think it's a very valid way to save a bit of time if you're into that kind of way of working.
Yeah, I did Google Facebook on Instagram, just a bit more awkward to share to Instagram.
Yeah.
Basically.
But yeah, like I think it's very valid for people who like to do it that way. And yeah, like now we've talked about those 3 sort of pain points, let's say, for that I think are present for dentists. So a few things that I think are general advice that I find. It's my opinion. You might disagree, but like this is what I think. It's a no-brainer. Like, talk to people. It's social media. After all, it's not like television. So talk to people. When someone leaves a comment, like leave a comment underneath, even like thank you or whatever. And if they want to have a conversation, maybe try to bring it into your surgery, maybe, because like, you know, eventually you'd be like just typing away and it just costs you too much time. But like, I think that's good. And I think try to be on the positive side. Like, I don't see the point in like negativity in a professional setting. Like, I don't think should be any comment should be negative in any way. Learn how to use AI, and then also learn how or when not to use it. Like, I think it's a great tool. It can save a lot of time. For me, it takes that first or the second step out of the creation process where I have an idea, but I haven't formulated it in like some sort of proper way. So what I do is I just put my idea, which is sometimes just a bullet point, into ChatGPT, which I use most, and just ask it to like make something out of it, what I'm hoping to get out of it, let's say a blog post or something like that. And that's usually quite bad because it sounds super American. It sounds super American. It's like really like nobody would talk that way. It's like really weird. But if you then just take the same thing and just write it in your own voice, just literally copy it one to one, but just write it the way that you would write it, suddenly you have like something that you could have written in the first place. And like it gets a bit, AI kind of tends to be a bit repetitive. It tends to tell you the same thing again and again. So you have to kind of find your way around it, but it helps a lot, and it takes a lot of sort of, it helps to make the next step, and I think it's really good for that. Then one thing that I really think is good is not look at likes. Sometimes you can even like turn it off for your posts, like do not display likes. But most of the time, if you have a professional account, it still shows it to you. It just doesn't show it to the public. Like in the end, like you want to talk to a certain type of patient, and like for me, in my experience, the people who like my stuff are like you guys. And like, as I said earlier, it doesn't really matter whether you guys like it. Like I appreciate it, thank you. But like, I'm not talking to you. Like you're all dentists yourself, or like in the dental profession. Like you're unlikely to be the patients. Maybe, like that'll, like obviously you're very welcome, but like, you know, I'm talking to other people, and like some of my videos got like thousands of views and then like 13 likes or whatever. And the likes are all from people that are not in my target group. And like I have to assume that at least some of the people that the thousands of people watched it might have been patients. So I just try to ignore the likes. I still look at it because I think we're all human. Like we were like, how many likes did I get? I tried not to. And I think having patience, putting the stuff out that we think is right and not what we think gets more likes, I think over time will get us the better, the better like quality. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Because like if I don't particularly like doing composite bonding, for example. I just, it's not my thing. Like I don't like it so much in a practical sense. So like if I started putting stuff out that looks like Ambrish's Instagram, like that doesn't help me, because then suddenly like I get all these people wanting composite bonding off me, and I don't want to do that. So like, but it probably would get me loads of likes, like, you know. That's like put out what you think you want to put out and not what you think gets likes. Yeah, exactly. Then one thing that I see a lot on Instagram, especially on LinkedIn, is people trying to sell to me, and I think it's terrible. And I think especially on dental social media, I don't think there's any place for selling. Like, yeah, you can make, if you have like a late cancellation and like you want to fill the gap, I think it's fair enough to put your story up saying, I have a cancellation, does anyone need the appointment? But like, I'm not a friend of like discounts or like come and book now your consultation. Like, I know it probably gets more people in. I'm not a big fan of it on social media, and I think probably someone who runs a practice might disagree to a certain degree, but I don't really, on my personal social media, I don't really like it, because when I'm on the other side, like I get so many people who are like, oh, love your content, and then I'm like, Yeah, like just from looking at it already, I'm like, there's not going to be 24 hours until they try to sell me their services. It's like it can be like it's sometimes it's people from Ireland, but like it oftentimes is people from abroad as well, and then like they just start selling to you, like both the Irish and the abroad people. And like you're just like, I'm not looking for this. Like you said you want to follow me because you want to chat about good social media. And then you're like, okay, well, fair enough. Like, why not? You seem to be interested in it. I'm also interested, so let's connect. And then like 24 hours later, you're like, oh, do you need like a social media manager? And like 24 hours ago, you said, like you like my social media, and now you want to be my social media manager. Something isn't right here. So, yeah. So like I just think on the other side, I just don't want to sell on social media, and I think other people might disagree. I think that's very important. Stay away from the drama. Like I've seen it a few times, and I wanted to put up an example here, but I didn't know whether the sound would work. Like proper like beef between two dentists in America on Instagram, like telling the other one is like treating the patient wrong, and then the other one like, no, and here's the guidelines and whatever. Like, what's the point? Like, you're not going to be perceived positive to your own patients, the other people will take sides. What's the point? Like,
any publicity is no publicity, obviously, they're looking for the drama. Like,
yeah, but like,
it's so wrong, I agree, but like, they're...
Yeah, like I think in a profession that's mainly built on trust, I think it's not a good way. Also, like there's these like common points of drama in a way, the fluoride gang, the COVID gang. Like just let them be. Like if they comment on your stuff, like maybe that's the one time not to reply. Leave them be. Leave them. Don't delete the comment because like then they'll come like, oh, they're deleting my comments. But like just let them be and like let them have their peace. And then yeah, just like listen to the room as you wouldn't go into like a, I don't know, like a social event, like just like shouting your name and like I'm a dentist, come to my practice. Like you wouldn't do that on social media as well. So like be appropriate. Important, not so relevant most of the time, but like there's obviously codes from like the dental council and stuff to like relating to marketing and public display. You can't break those rules. They're pretty like non-descriptive, like they don't say much, so I think it's not really a practical concern, but obviously don't do anything that breaks any laws. It makes sense. And then the more personal the better, and especially like awkward stuff works. Like in my experience, like if it's personal, if there's multiple people involved, if there's some sort of conversation or joking or anything that would happen between people involved, it works far better on social media because people want to see original stuff, authentic stuff, and if there's faces visible, some sort of conversation, if there's something happening, it works better. And even if it's someone who doesn't want to be like, who does the like, turning around or whatever, it's probably good because it shows something. Now, you obviously have to make sure that these people consent to their stuff being put up, but I think it works. And like, I would always even, like, when I look at my videos that I have put up on Instagram in the last while, like, there's so much stuff that I'm looking at, I'm like, cringing. Like, I don't know, me like doing the practice tour and like Diana was filming me and I was like, oh, welcome to the practice tour. And then I just like head off and Diana like tries to like follow me. It's just like stupid stuff. And then I'm looking at like my pants and I'm like, do they look weird when I walk? Like, are they like really wide? So like, I think like, I'm looking at it and like, actually it doesn't matter. Like, and I like, when I look at it, it's like, you have this feeling of like, your heart sinks a bit and then like, it actually doesn't matter because people don't care anyway. I'm caring about myself as everyone cares about themselves, but nobody really looks at it. I guess nobody of you guys has watched my thing and then be like, oh, his pants look weird. Like, I doubt it. Niall was actually, yeah. But, like, embrace it, try to own it as much as you can. I know it's difficult sometimes, but I think it works because it'll make you more authentic, more original, and even if it's kind of stupid what you're doing, then like just roll with it, I guess. Yeah, and then one thing I actually forgot to put in, but because I just said it, obviously if you put stuff up, make sure people consent. Like we have, like I've been working with Eve on a consent form, a new one. Some of you might have seen it. It's like a A5 size. And we're probably going to make a new version of it at some stage soon. I think it works really well because it's a bit easier to work with than the one that we have on the iPad in Boyne Dental anyway. But like if you put up patient stuff, just make sure you have consent. I know it's a bit of a pain to get it, and like when I started doing it more and more, I was like, oh, I hope they're not gonna like flip on me and be like, I don't want my pictures on social media. But like I've not had anyone who was like aggressive about it in any way. Even the people who don't like it, who don't want their pictures to be online anywhere, they usually appreciate that you ask them and that they could say no, and that's the end of the story, that they don't have to fear their stuff being online. So just like when you put like clinical pictures up, maybe try to have the stuff, because like it might be fine for 100 cases, and then the 101st one is like actually realizes it's their tooth and kind of is going to give you trouble. So I think consent is important. And yeah, I think that's the end of my presentation. If there's any questions or remarks in any way, happy to just have a conversation about it. But other than that, I think I'm done. Thank you.
No, that was great. I think the point you're making, like not sort of cloning what everybody else has done and just being.
Yeah. Here, do you want to come a bit further over here, because then you'll be on the camera.
Because like patients aren't all the same. They aren't all looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
Like there's such a vast array of personalities out there that some person might look at my videos and go, "Geez, I can't stand that way."
Yeah.
And they might look at yours and think, he's talking. I like
He's the deal, yeah.
And explaining that,
Yeah.
and connect with that, you know. So yeah, I think it's a great thing, and ultimately that is the benefit, and that's what I find the benefit to be from mine, is people see you as a human,
Yeah.
and not the dentist,
Yeah.
you know. And that breaks down a barrier in itself almost, you know.
Yeah.
So
And what I think is handy in that regard as well is, like, if someone comes in then and like they've maybe seen a few things that you've put out beforehand, they kind of already know what to expect. And if you've been truthful to your own self in the run-up of it, so like if your content is truthful, then there's no transition. You just meet the person from the video. Exactly. And I think it creates a lot of trust in that way. Yeah.
It takes away unknowns.
Yeah.
You know, which again can be a barrier to people for coming.
Yeah.
If you're taking away those unknowns, which is why the likes of the tour of the Nude and all that is brilliant.
Yeah. Even with the pants.
Yeah.
I actually ordered new pants. They arrived today. Next tour there'll be like snazzy pants.
That's the point about being like we're our own biggest critics, aren't we? Like,
Yeah.
We analyse our own stuff, and like I used to cringe at the amount of times I said when I was doing
Yeah.
videos, and it would come up on the caption.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, patients who are actually connected to it don't know it, and that's the other point I was thinking about. You saying don't go just by the likes. Like I think people who follow the page for like 2 years, and whatever one story just is finally the point that
Yeah.
they say, okay, I'm going to act. And it's not like they would have been liking posts as a brand new name to
Yeah.
me, but they've been following the stories for over 2 years, like before they actually act. So you don't know where that 20 grand treatment plan is going to come from. And
Yeah.
it just takes one to make it worth all that time. So yeah. Emma, what you do a bit? How do you find it, like from your side of things?
Mine is quite visual, so I don't talk very much, but it's more like a digital portfolio. So it's like we used to have these here, but it's just easy to live in one place. So like yesterday I had a patient that I'm doing ortho and she needs bombing after, but she was asking me, "Do you do bombing?" I said, "Yeah, I can do it, but what are you looking for?" And she's like, "Well, I've looked about some dentists and I don't like plastering." And then I just fired up the Instagram and said, like, "Go on, there's bombing there, bombing." I was like, "Yeah, that's the level I'm at. That's what I can do for you, but like someone else might be a better good ambush." But that was like, no, I want to do, I want that there. So it's really, like mine was good for that. That's what I could use it for. It's just it's there in one place.
Yeah.
You can just look at it.
Really
That's
good.
actually a good point. Yeah.
People aren't going to the website as much as they used to,
Yeah.
right, to consume their information. So actually having it there on your Instagram is your portfolio, which speaks volumes, right?
Yeah. I mean, Amanda, you like to travel and you like a good bar or like nice places to go. How do you find them? Do you Google it or do you go on Instagram?
Recently, I find actually a lot is on TikTok.
Or TikTok,
a lot of
yeah.
recommendations there, otherwise it's just TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor. Okay,
Yeah.
that's more old school than more old school than I thought. But no, I just thought because that's like same process. Like people looking for dentists might go on Instagram rather than Google, and in your case, I thought like. But your TripAdvisor is a different story. That's more like Google. Yeah.
There's lots of dental pages on TikTok as well.
Yeah.
You find the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's really interesting here that it's TikTok because that's like relatively new, right? And it's a platform that we're not on at the moment. Like, so it's somewhere we need to explore, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah. Maybe it's,
like
You might have a show.
I have it written there.
yeah, like
Anna, would you have done much of the social media stuff back in Ukraine? Like you're obviously straight into being active with it over here on the street.
Professional account I didn't have before,
Okay.
but I like making different videos on Instagram, so yeah. That's why I start implementing this type of videos in my professional account.
yeah, that's good. But see, that's kind of the same process that I was saying when I was going through all my history, like, all the experience that I might have had that brought me to the point. It's kind of the same, just that you had experience maybe on Instagram itself before, and now you're bringing it into the professional account. So suddenly your professional account goes from like nothing to pretty good because you already had all this practice in the past. Yeah.
So, any other questions or comments?
A small little one. It's just, I think for anybody who's getting started, like where to start, right? Because like there is such a lot out there. Like the first post, is it not overthinking it and just starting, or do you start with like when you were starting out, there was an idea of what it was going to look like, right? It was kind of I think because you knew what you were, what message you wanted to communicate was quite specific. So it was kind of, you had an idea of what way you were going to package it, right? And so I suppose for anybody starting, do they think about the end goal?
I wouldn't think too much about the final result of, let's say, the whole page being set up or whatever, because I think that's too much of a hurdle to get to, and it's most likely that you'll fail because you're probably not going to reach the perfection level that you were looking for anyway, and then you're just setting yourself up for disappointment and then maybe just scrapping the idea altogether. I think doing something that one is comfortable with, whatever level that is. Some people might be comfortable writing something, like just like taking a picture of, as I did, of the floor, and then just writing something completely unrelated, but like why it's important to have good margins on a filling, whatever. Like, just write a text underneath, and then do that 20 times over a year. And maybe then they feel, okay, well, this is getting a bit boring. I'm going to take a picture of myself. And then, like, you know, working off that. I think that's far more sustainable than jumping into the ice cold water. I think it makes more sense to, like, take planned steps and keep a schedule in some way. It doesn't have to be every day or even every week, but like making sure that every 2 weeks there's something out or something like that, you know.
And it's starting, it's not because it started to grow then your ideas.
I was going to say, I think though your point is well made earlier, you're thinking about who you're wanting to communicate to and what you're wanting to. And like in a sense, what you said is we're all booked up, right? So that takes away the motivation of why should I spend extra time on that because my book's full, you know? But it's, what do you want out of your day-to-day work? Do you want more of something? And if you do, then that's what you gotta be talking about. Like.
It's like more of a...
That's what I did. I was busy, but I wanted
To do more of
get it to a point where I had an approach that I could have an offer where that I could get a consistent flow of people. And so that's why I channeled it that direction.
Yeah, I guess like probably most people are at that point where they want to more qualify their book than quantify it in a way. But like obviously if someone like opens a new practice and they actually need to fill a book, then quantity counts as well. Maybe then you might be doing more general dentistry content or something, just to get something out, I guess. What I think is really good, but I'm not doing much, but I think integration into local communities would be excellent. So in my case, being in Maynooth, if I eventually had more of a regular culture of interviews and suddenly I went over to like the hotspots in Maynooth and talked to like the people from the coffee shop across the road, the owner, and talk about what's important, like what's the connection between a good coffee and a good dental service, what's the similarities or whatever, like, you know, make an interview and like suddenly people are like, that's kind of random, but I follow the coffee shop and now these people seem to be okay, so maybe I'll just watch their videos as well. So I think integration into the local community is definitely something that can be very effective. I'm not doing it yet, but...
Which is lovely, and it's really resonates with, I think, with our team and us and who we are in the local community, right? Because, you know, in the neighbourhood shop, it's really nice. You did that video at the start when you joined. And you did a bit of Maynooth and then a bit of Navan.
Navan,
really cool.
Yeah, well, I was literally just exploring the towns myself because I didn't know my way around. So I just took a few videos and I thought, like, I was honestly excited to start in those towns. But yeah, I like just made a video about it. That's back to like authentic. Even if the video was probably like if you look at production, it like could have probably been much fancier or whatever. But like it did the trick. Yeah.
What about your side of things? What do you find connects and lands from doing the practice field?
Faces. People connect with faces more than
faces, yeah.
And you're saying you're going to move to Facebook. I find Facebook nowhere near as effective from our point of view. There's a lot of negative in this. I don't think I've hit a comment on Instagram from people on Facebook. And usually talking about price, that kind of thing. I think because our Instagram is more active, maybe that's why I find Instagram more useful. But more on Facebook, that would be better. I think our stories kind of get. I think Instagram is moving towards stories more than posts as well. But the posts that I do put up, the 100 faces get way more.
Yeah, like one thing that is important with like the platforms, the way that they work at the moment with posts like as in pictures and videos, reels, and stories, where I think that videos and pictures are more effective is that Instagram has gone down the route of what TikTok used to do, like being more of an interest-based recommendation engine. It's like they just show you stuff and they figure out what you like and then they just show you more of that stuff. And we all know how addictive that can be, but like they recommend stuff and like 90% of what you see, like it's from people that you don't follow. It's just like random people. So you get stuff in, and I think through that it's much more likely that you'll be seen by people that don't follow you. your stories don't normally get shown to people in a random manner unless you promote them. Right. So, like that's what I was thinking about yours. I'm not sure how much of your stories you put out as posts, but if you just, once you're done with your story, just literally took the same thing and put it out as a post, I think you'd get mad responses to that. And with very limited extra work.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw one video on Instagram how to promote yourself, how to promote your reels on Instagram.
Yeah.
And much better. And it was one like tip that it should be better to make short videos with text above, and because people when they are reading your text, this reel can be watched a few times, and that's why this video will be promoted.
Yeah. Like I think yeah.
It gets more views because they're watching 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. But I think captions are very important. Like I don't put anything up really without captions because people are like on silent, and if they can't hear what you're saying, then like it's no good, I guess.
That's
Yeah.
why it's essential to write something.
Yeah.
Because when they're reading.
The attention.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I struggle with short though. I struggle with short.
Yeah. But sure, that might be something where, on a basis of a group practice, like if there's more original content creators within the group. So let's say for Boyne Dental, it'll be Niall, myself, Anna, and whoever else puts stuff up. If there is, yeah, oh yeah. No, but that is true. No, that is, but that is actually true. Like that is actually true. Different type of content, but in a.
Yours is referral based, so yours is for.
But like, yeah, but like I think the more happens in that way, then someone who is like a level above or removed, whatever you want to say it, where let's say in Boyne Dental someone was there and just took my video, let's say, and was like, oh, there's this little snippet, and just takes it and then puts it up on Boyne Dental as a snippet. Because I don't have the time to do it, someone else might just use my stuff and promote it. So like I think that's where someone who then just uses stuff from a pool of people, that might be very effective on a group level. Yeah.
It's also helpful for hiring, for attracting all dentists.
Yeah.
Because they're seeing going, right, this seems like a nice match.
Yeah. What I really think where you're saying you're working more referral based, let's say on your Instagram, like let's say one of our general dentists sends you a patient and you put that patient's stuff up. If that general dentist then did a video, like a green screen type video where they're superimposed on your post, and it's like, this is a post of my colleague Maria, like it's such a great result, look at the little sealer puff here, like this is excellent work. This actually was my patient, she was in with me 4 weeks ago, she was in pain, I managed her pain, but then I couldn't do this because it was really difficult to do, so I sent her to Maria, and just look at this, how great it is. And now the patient is back and I'm doing the crown to make sure that the tooth is fine in the future. Like, that would be class. That would be good for you because you get a bit of extra promotion.
Celebration dance from
Yeah. But like, that can then again be used by, let's say, Boyne Dental. So like, I think I was actually like, that's one of the things, like if I had unlimited time, I probably would have taken like everyone's videos and just like made a video about the videos.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you talking about some case and I'm like, oh, I actually had a similar patient. I'm obviously not someone who does nervous patient and sedation and whatever, but like even with our normal patients, it's so important to be calm and listening and whatever, and that would still be authentic to myself. It doesn't have to be anything, and then I still promote Niall, promote myself, and practice.
And careful for the practice to have an overview of all of the specialties and all of the different interests.
And respect.
And you're making content out of nothing, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So anybody's posting anything to work, always tag Boyne Dental so I can share. Some people have
Yeah. What I actually find really, really annoying sometimes is if you don't do that collaboration thing straight away, sometimes you can't
I know.
Go back.
But exactly, unless you would take the whole thing down and repost it again. Like I find that really frustrating sometimes because I don't always want to like just by chance like add Boyne Dental as a collaborator. Because then, like, Paddy's like, oh no, not again, like, you know.
I've had this conversation with Niall. I've said to Niall, there's some stuff here that I'm not going to share because it's too much you can open up and everybody else.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you guys in that, especially putting stuff up so I can share.
Like,
if everybody's going to upload something, share everybody's everything.
Yeah.
But you don't charge just 2 or 3 dentists.
Like, I haven't found out why sometimes you can do that and sometimes you can't. I don't know how that works.
I am up for the prize. Show me money. Everything we share.
Right. Well, thanks a million, Tristan. That was
Thanks for being here.
good job.
Thanks.
So yeah, questionnaires, fill in feedback and stuff. Return your pens.
Most important bit.